U.S. markets are closed today as people mark today's holiday. Juneteenth celebrates the end of slavery in the United States. June 19th, 1865 is the date Union troops arrived in Texas and declared enslaved people free after the Civil War. Now, this was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth was designated as a federal holiday by former President Joe Biden in 2021. The holiday thrives despite many American institutions and companies rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Here to give us a closer look at the widespread impact of all this is Marc Morial. He's the president and CEO of the National Urban League. Marc, appreciate you joining us. All right, so last year we saw a lot of companies and institutions scale back some of these celebrations and events that mark the Juneteenth holiday. How is it being honored this year?
I think there's strong efforts to honor it, notwithstanding some who are backing off. And let me say, those who backed off should reconsider their position. There's no reason to back off from celebrating what may be one of the most important accomplishments of the Western world, and that is the ending of slavery. Juneteenth is a celebration of the notification to enslaved people in South Texas that the Emancipation Proclamation had been issued almost 2 years earlier. The real end of slavery came later that year with the passage of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. So there are celebrations. I'll be attending one here in New York, out in Queens at Allen AME Church. It's important to celebrate this. It's a celebration not just for Black Americans, but for all Americans to celebrate the end of slavery and the beginning of freedom, the long, hard march that continues to this day.
Speaking of that long, hard march, Marc, we, as you point out, remember the long-awaited emancipation that arrived in Texas. And part of what we do when we celebrate Juneteenth is we honor the courage, the perseverance, and the hope of generations who carried the struggle forward in the years after emancipation, the blood that was spilled in getting people the right to vote, Black people in this country the right to vote, among many other struggles. And now we see, for example, the Trump administration removing Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Jr. Day from the National Park Service's 2026 free entry calendar. But that's, as important as that is, it also pales in significance to what's happening with some of the Supreme Court decisions that are rolling back the Voting Rights Act of 1965. What is your message to people who might believe that we were talking about Michelle Obama's speech yesterday at the opening of the Obama Center, and Kelly, you said it, right? She had a very
powerful line. She said, "Hope is a choice."
Hope is a choice, and I wonder, for people who look at what is happening now, what kind of hope do you offer?
Well, the hope is that where we are as a nation came because of righteous battle, hard work, people fighting, people of all backgrounds fighting to make the commitment to freedom and justice more perfect. And that is the challenge today, for people to recognize that the assault, whether it comes from the Supreme Court or whether it comes from what I consider to be childish executive orders that end free access to, if you will, public parks on Juneteenth and other celebratory days, are really childish and juvenile and kind of snide. It's just not what America is about. The greatness of this nation, and this is what I hope we celebrate today on Juneteenth and we celebrate on July 4th, when the nation reaches 250 years old. The greatness of America, the American future, is going to be our ability to continue to meld a nation of freedom, justice, and equality for people of all backgrounds, races, religions, ethnic groups. That's what America stands for. Anything that runs counter to that, I consider un-American. So the assaults on voting, they're un-American. The cancellation of certain holidays, you don't hear people saying, let's cancel the celebration of St. Patrick's Day. Why Juneteenth? Why are you singling out Juneteenth or the celebration of women? Those things are un-American. And this is the message I want Americans to realize. We have to fight for our future. And to fight for our future means to fight for our right to vote, the right to speak, the right to freedom of the press, the right to build in America, where every child has a real and meaningful opportunity. That's what's at stake.
You just posted, Mark, and dovetails with what you're saying now, that Juneteenth reminds us that progress is never automatic. It is built by those who persevere, the lessons of the past, invest in education, and step forward to lead with purpose. Just really quickly before we go, give us a sense of what communities are doing on their own to preserve and continue to celebrate the holiday for future generations.
There are events, rallies at churches, there are picnics, there are cookouts. I can't tell you the number. I just looked at a long list from a handful of cities, and the celebrations are going to continue. And I think the energy and the determination to celebrate is even stronger now that you have this effort by some to cancel. I want to say to American companies and American institutions, show courage to stand up to what you know is not right. We have to celebrate the contributions of Black Americans and all Americans. We have to celebrate it on a continuous basis, because this is what the future is. This is how we send a message to our children that the American future belongs to everyone.
Marc Morial, thank you, my friend, as always. Happy Father's Day, and give our love to Michelle.
Yeah, thank you. Happy Dad's Day and happy Juneteenth.
Yes, my brother. Thank you very much. Happy Juneteenth to you as well.